You have never once failed to start something. Not once. So why does it feel like you've never finished anything either? Somewhere in your house right now is a version of you that quit. A notebook, a gym bag, a business plan called final, and yet starting over still feels like the smart move, like the disciplined move, like the thing a person with their life together would do. That should bother you more than it does, because in a few minutes, you're going to find out that fresh start isn't the cure for the pattern. It's the engine running it. Here's the first thing that's going to sound wrong until it doesn't. Starting over isn't a weakness. It's a reward. Literally. The moment you decide to change something, new plan, new routine, new version of yourself, your brain doesn't wait for results. It pays you immediately. That electric, clean, anything's possible feeling isn't hope. It's relief. Because in that exact second, you haven't failed at anything yet. The version of you that quit last time? Gone. Left behind with the old notebook. Which means a fresh start gives you something continuing never can. An alibi. The illusion that your problems belonged to somebody else. An old you. Not this one. So naturally, you prepare. You research. You build the plan. And here's the part almost nobody catches. Your brain rewards planning almost the same way it rewards doing. You can spend an entire Sunday organizing a system you'll never use, and your brain will hand you the same satisfaction as if you'd actually built something. You didn't move an inch, but it felt like movement. And that's where the trap quietly begins. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. And this is the part that reframes everything you just heard. If preparing feels almost as good as doing, why would your brain ever willingly leave the preparing stage? It doesn't. Not voluntarily, so it waits for an excuse. And the excuse always shows up around the same time. Could be day 12, week 3, or whenever the new plan glow wears off and the actual work turns out to be slower and clumsier than it looked in your head. That's not a bad project. That's just what the middle of anything looks like from the inside. But your brain doesn't file it that way. It files it as evidence. One rough day gets promoted to proof the whole plan was wrong. And right on cue, a new idea shows up, shinier, cleaner, untouched by any of your mistakes so far. Here's the sentence worth pausing for. People who constantly start over are not always lacking discipline. Some of them have insane discipline. What they're actually doing is escaping the discomfort of being imperfect halfway through something. Starting over was never the problem. It's the getaway car. And it's a genuinely good getaway car, which is exactly why it's so hard to stop using. But here's what that getaway car actually costs. And it's not what most people think. It's not time. Not really. Time is what people always blame. The real cost shows up as a feeling, usually around midnight. Usually while looking at someone else's progress. You start to feel behind. Not behind schedule, behind your own life. And here's the twist most people miss completely. You're not actually behind. You're simply comparing the wrong numbers. You're putting someone else's day 400 next to your day 1, forgetting they also have a drawer full of unfinished notebooks somewhere. They just found the one thing they didn't restart. That's the only difference. The person you're comparing yourself to has probably quit just as many things as you have. You're only seeing the one that survived. So what happens when this cycle repeats for years instead of weeks? Ironically, it delays the very outcome you wanted all along. The finished body, the built business, the peace with oneself. And then, that outcome only lives on the other side of a long, unglamorous middle. And starting over is, structurally, a way of skipping that middle forever. You keep getting the hope of a new beginning, on repeat, and you never touch the part that was supposed to come after it. Which means the real question was never, why can't I finish things? The real question should be, what am I trying not to feel by starting over again? For most people, it's some version of, I'd rather not finish than finish and find out I'm not enough. You would think the fix is discipline, willpower, grit, push through. It's not. The fix isn't forcing yourself to feel good about the messy middle. The fix is realizing you were never supposed to feel good there. Nobody does. The middle is supposed to feel confusing, a bit slow and unimpressive. That's not a sign you picked the wrong thing. That's just what building anything real feels like from the inside. Progress feels like planning, feels like preparing, researching, getting ready. That's what it feels like, but it's not what it is. Progress isn't what feels productive. Progress is what gets finished. Not perfect, finished. The ugly draft that got submitted anyway. The workout done badly instead of skipped. The small, embarrassing version of the business that actually launched instead of the flawless one still living only in your head. Because the opposite of starting over was never perfection. It's continuing while things are still imperfect. It's staying in the room after the excitement leaves the building. Showing up on the exact day it feels clumsy, not because you finally found discipline, but because you finally understood what that fresh start feeling was protecting you from. You don't need a new plan. You never did. You need to survive being bad at the old one for a little while longer. Nobody puts that on the cover of a notebook, but it's the only sentence that was ever going to get you to the last page.